It's Monday, the 18th of June, 2018, and welcome to Navigating Your Day. In Jinshin Jitsu, safety energy lock number 18 came into the universe meaning body consciousness or factors affecting the human personality. So my understanding of this is that safety energy lock number 18 helps us to connect to that idea that our body is the only part of us that is ever in the present. It's always, constantly in the present moment, and it is feeding back what is actually going on, and our behavior is predicated on what's going on in our subconscious. So your body is a feedback tool of what's going on in your subconscious, and what's going on in your subconscious actually affects your personality. Hence, body consciousness, factors affecting the human personality. And safety energy lock number 18 is a 9, right? And 9 is a deeply intuitive number. So when we can connect to our intuition, when we can become quiet, when we can still our mind, when we can stop the stories, then we can actually connect to our intuition, and our intuition can feed back to us what our body is trying to tell us. So on one level, it's fairly obvious, if you have a headache, then you're not particularly cheerful or necessarily optimistic or very energetic. That would be a manifestation in your personality, right? But if you've got, chronic backache, for example, then the question is, what is that trying to tell you? And sometimes it's as simple as looking at the language, what is breaking your back? Where do you feel burdened? What are you carrying that isn't yours, for example? So when we connect intuitively to ourselves, when we can connect to our intuition, then we can actually uncover what the body is trying to tell us. Another way of doing this is to ask yourself what that sign or symptom is forcing you to be or do or have. So let's say we'll use the backache, for example. If it's forcing you to stop exercising, if it's forcing you to slow down, if it's forcing you to, stay at home and because you're not able to go to work, then how is that slowing down? How's that a benefit to you? What is that actually giving you? Because there's always a subconscious agenda that's driving the manifestation of our signs and symptoms. Please, this does not mean that any of us are actually consciously creating disease or signs or symptoms or discomfort. That is not the truth. It's happening subconsciously. And because it's very difficult to access your subconscious mind, you can do that through the vehicle of your body. Okay, so 18 is a 9. So today is a day that resonates with the energy of the 9. So it's deeply intuitive, it's very resilient, it is committed, it can also be distracted, it can be childish, and it can be all the best things that we associate with children. So hopeful, optimistic, intuitive, responding immediately to the signals from the body. If a child's tired, they're cranky. If they're hungry, right? If the baby's nappy's dirty, it cries. So it responds immediately. It is not learned to deaden those signals from the body yet. And so 9 helps us to connect to that, as I said earlier. 9 is also about being able to connect to your intuition, to your gut. So if you need to make decisions today and you've got a head and a heart war going on, go to your gut. How does this feel? What does your gut instinct tell you? Because 9 resonates with that energy very intensely. 9 is also about being playful. 9 is about being curious and being engaged. So when we can connect to that energy and we can approach our day with curiosity rather than, for example, dread, because you know that you've got so many things to do, or you're feeling so burdened, or you don't have enough money, or whatever it is that you're worried about, when you are less attached to how you think it needs to be. In other words, I need this situation to change in this way, and you can become more curious about how it's going to unfold, and you take the necessary action, because you can't just sit back, right? Then your approach to your problems or the situation or a person or a circumstance or event is going to be different, and there's probably going to be less stress involved, because how often do things turn out exactly the way we expect? Well, I don't know about your life, but in my life, not often. Okay, so we've got the 6 from June, which is about balance and harmony. It is about being discriminating. 6 helps us to discriminate. This thing that your gut's telling you, all right, is that real for you? If your gut says avoid this person, is that true for you. 6 enhances that energy as well. Of course, we've got the 2 from 2018, which helps us to keep our emotions in balance. It helps us to connect to our emotions, and it helps us to keep our nurture of ourselves and others in mind. So again, the 2 helps us to ensure that we maintain the balance between nurturing ourselves and nurturing other people. The hero today and the villain are the same number. So they're an 8, right? And we're going to talk about both. So when you have the hero and the villain in the same position, you have benefits and you have drawbacks. The benefits are that if the villain becomes if the villain starts manifesting, so in other words, if you start manifesting the villainous traits of an 8, so 8 in the villain position, I'll tell you, can't say no, doesn't have boundaries, right? Doesn't know where to put the boundary down, or finds it difficult to put the boundary down, and that'll be particularly difficult because the 6 that we have in June is a people pleaser and just wants it to be beautiful and just wants it to be peaceful and harmonious, right? So when you've got 6 in the root of the life map and you've got 8 as the villain, which struggles to say no, which struggles to put down firm boundaries, then you might run the risk of getting into the kind of situations where you start becoming overwhelmed, you've overcommitted yourself, you can't deliver, you're freaking out, right? So that's in the villain. 8 in the villain can't say no. 8 in the hero position, of course, is really definite about its boundaries. 8 is an earth number. So when you have it in the hero position, 8 is able to practically implement changes that are going to make you feel better. So let's say your 9 goes, this doesn't feel right, I'm bored and distracted and I hate my life. 8 in the hero position will say, okay, so you hate your life. So what is it that you actually want to do? And once you know what that thing is, how are we practically going to make the changes from where we are to where we want to be? So 8 in the hero position helps us to get practical. It helps us to stay grounded. It helps us to make it real. It helps us to get out of fantasy and into reality. So, children have got wonderful imaginations, right? So 9 can take us off into Lulu fantasy land. 8 in the hero position brings us back to earth. 8 in the villain position stops us from being able to say no when we need to, so that we can implement these practical changes. So, how are you going to manage that? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to give it a bit of thought. So, no, this is how you're going to manage it. You're going to check in with your intuition and your sense of discrimination whenever you're about to commit to something. When someone asks you to do something, when you feel obliged to do something, when you need to carry out a task, you're going to just stop for a second and connect to, is this what I really want? Is this going to make me happy? Is this going to serve me in the short term and in the long term? Is this an impulsive decision that is just a means of distracting myself? Or is this a decision that is going to move my life forward in the direction that I want it to be? When you can do that, then know that your default setting today is not going to be to say, no, I don't want to do that and I can't take on another task. It's going to be to say yes. So just take a step back and decide if this is right for you or if it's not right for you. If it's not right for you, then say no. Just know that it's going to be slightly more difficult today maybe than what it would be ordinarily. If you find it difficult and you don't actually put those boundaries down, then you run the risk of becoming very anxious, very stuck in your head, over-analytical, and feeling overwhelmed. Luckily, we've got Jinshin Jitsu, so we don't really have to understand how to manage this in terms of the energies of the numbers. And Safety Energy Lock number 18 is located on the little finger. The little finger is about comparing and competing and striving and needing to make it perfect and needing to please everyone and needing to be the head girl and needing to get the distinctions and needing to keep up with the Joneses. All right, so it's about trying to and pretense. It's about being who you are not in order to keep a facade up. So when you hold your little finger, you harmonize the heart and the small intestine energy. So you bring the thinking and the analyzing function together. You also calm the nervous system down. You help to bring Safety Energy Lock number 18 into harmony, and so you can intuitively connect to what is right for you today. I hope you have an amazing Monday, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow.